partners, friends, colleagues, it's a pleasure to welcome you to the virtual forum on the recovery of Ukraine. I am Marina Buzan-Svirska, a project manager for the development of GovTech and Civic Tech solutions. Ukraine's state policy has been focused on combating corruption for more than 15 years, increasing transparency and accountability in key sectors of the economy, and one of the main tools for achieving the entire state policy and international obligations have become centralized digitalization of processes, which included the development of digitization solutions, providing administrative services, developing digital registries and platforms that ensure public access for partners and investors to information and data across various sectors. The activities and economy of Ukraine. An example of such a platform in the field of subsoil use is the Open Data Portal in the extractive industry. This is the project I am currently overseeing, its development and modernization. In the field of public procurement and sales, there are the ProZorro and ProZorro sale platforms, respectively. They ensure openness and transparency of auctions and public procurement and sales by state enterprises. Since the beginning of the large-scale invasion, Ukraine has suffered significant destruction in various areas and on a large scale. And accordingly, we face the challenge of needing to restore and rebuild both critical infrastructure. So the housing stock and social facilities, and this is a colossal amount of work and a large number of stakeholders involved. Oops, sorry about that. I had a technical glitch when I filmed my introduction in the hotel. What I was going to say before everything froze is that I will take you through a typical life cycle of a project that begins life in Dream and then moves over to ProZorro where the tendering process will take place. It's all very straightforward and totally transparent. Essentially, if you satisfy the technical criteria, follow the correct procedures and bid the lowest price, you will win the contract. So let's get started. First things first, the life cycle of a project under the Rebuild Ukraine program has the same phases in its life cycle as any other project. Effective project management can reduce the waste of resources and money. That's why understanding the project management life cycle is crucial. This is equally true whether you're working on a small project or a large-scale one. Project management is the process of planning, executing, and monitoring a set of tasks to achieve goals within budget and on time. Project management methodology is often misunderstood. Many professionals think of it as managing the duration of a project, but it's actually much more than that. Project management phases are the life cycle of the development process. Understanding this cycle allows you to implement more efficient internal processes and better manage teams with software. So, according to the model proposed by the Project Management Institute, there are 5 phases to the project management life cycle. Initiation, planning, execution, performance and control, closing the project. Although it may seem trivial, each stage is actually an important part of the organizational structure and a mandatory benchmark for establishing systematic work in a project. All Rebuild Ukraine projects start life in Dream. So let's look at what kind of community projects should be included in Dream. They include projects for the restoration, reconstruction and development of real estate, construction and infrastructure that require capital investment. At what stage of the project's life cycle should it be included in the Dream ecosystem, you may ask? Is it at the stage of need, during implementation, or after implementation? The answer is actually that Dream ecosystem allows projects to be included by inputting the relevant project information at any stage of its life cycle. However, we recommend working with projects in Dream from the stage of need, which allows you to follow its development and understand better if this is a project that could be of interest to you. The ICC Rebuild Ukraine portal allows you to track projects from initiation onwards, facilitating this process and allowing you to maximize the time available for the preparation of your bid. Each project is a set of interconnected activities aimed at addressing the needs for restoration, reconstruction or development of a community, oblast, region, settlement, etc. within a set time and budget. When a project is listed within DREAM, a template needs plan has to be completed. This needs plan is a list of functional objects that a community, oblast, region, settlement, etc. needs to function properly. Projects can only be initiated by an official representative of an authorized government agency. Here you can see a typical project card in the public part of the DREAM website. This information sets out what the project is and what it needs. In DREAM, these details are available in Ukrainian and English. On the next slide, we'll look at the project definition roadmap. For a project, the definition is the disclosure of the project content, the development of a detailed description of the project content, and the identification of specific planned operations that need to be performed to obtain results. These are 6 steps you need to go through during the definition. At this point, I think it is helpful if you know the definitions of terms and roles used within DREAM. A contractor is an organization designated as responsible for managing the project lifecycle from the preparation stage, development of a concept note, decision-making on the feasibility of project development, etc., to the investment stage of the project, during which the project is invested and which includes research, development of project documentation and its approval, obtaining relevant permits, preparation and conduct of procurement procedures, conclusion of contracts, construction works, purchase of equipment, machinery, and equipment. The initiator is the organization that is the author of the project idea, its preliminary justification and proposals for its implementation. A customer is an organization that is interested in implementing the project and achieving its goal, is responsible for the result, sets the basic requirements for the project, scales it up, and manages the process of interaction between all project participants. A spending unit is a person or organization that has the authority to dispose of or manage financial resources, a budget or funds in accordance with certain rules, regulations, or legislation. An advisor is an individual or legal entity that provides support, assistance within the project, for example, audit firms, NGOs, etc. An architectural supervision is an organization responsible for monitoring compliance with architectural forms and design. Technical supervision is the control of standards and quality of performance in the construction sector. A consulting engineer provides organizational and advisory support on project implementation. A designer is a design engineer or design organization that develops the main sections of the design and estimate documentation. An expert is an organization that conducts construction and technical expertise. A project partner is an individual or organization that cooperates in the implementation of a specific project. Their involvement may include financial support, resources, expertise, or other forms of cooperation that help achieve the project's goal. I will now take you quickly through a series of screenshots that will give you an overall view of how projects develop. In the section of the project description structure funding sources, you can see added information about the planned sources of funding, the amounts and periods of receipt. These confirm the sources of funding that have been guaranteed. Describe the proven funding, the amount of funds actually received from the guaranteed amount. Or you see that no information on available funding sources is currently available. The project is seeking funding. The confirmed source of funding has been cancelled. Here you can see a typical project description in DREAM. Descriptions are complete with photographs. Here you can see the project now copied across to Prozoro. You should note that in Prozoro this information remains in Ukrainian and is currently not available in English, whereas everything in DRAM is available in English and Ukrainian. However, in the ICC portal, information taken from Prozoro will be made available to you automatically in English. Here you can see the project now copied across to Prozoro. You should note that in Prozoro this information remains in Ukrainian and is currently not available in English, whereas everything in DRAM is available in English and Ukrainian. However, in the ICC portal, information taken from Prozoro will be made available to you automatically in English. Here you have a view of the interface in Public Bid where you can make your tender offer. In order to access Prozoro and bid for contracts, you first have to register with the e-tender platform. Such Public Bid and access the Prozoro's bidding area through them. There is a presentation later this morning that I will take you through which goes into more detail how you can make your bids. This is a screenshot of a completed auction in Prozoro. As you can see, at this stage you really will need to have Ukrainian speakers working with you. This is especially true when you consider that an auction can last only a few minutes. In the Prozoro system, typical terms in a procurement project may include the following stages and timeframes. First step, preparation of the procurement documentation. Creating an ad depends on the customer, usually a few days. Publishing the ad instantly after it is filled in and confirmed by the customer. Second step, period of clarification, minimum duration, 3 to 5 days depending on the expected value. Bidders can ask questions about the tender and the procuring entity will respond. Third step, acceptance of proposals. Minimum duration, simple tender, sub-threshold procurement, 2 working days. Open bidding is 7 to 15 days, depending on the value of the contract. Negotiation procedure is 3 to 5 days, though this can be shortened. During this period, participants submit their proposals. Fourth step, the auction. The auction date is set automatically after the end of the bid acceptance period. Auction duration can be from 10 minutes to several hours, depending on the number of participants. Fifth step, the evaluation of proposals and qualification of the winner. Maximum time for verification of documents. Regular tender up to 5 days. Open bidding up to 20 working days. The customer analyses the proposals and selects the winner. Sixth step, appeal period if necessary. Standard term is 10 days in open tenders. Participants can appeal against the decision to the Anti-Monopoly Committee. Seventh step, conclusion of the contract. Maximum term, 20 days after the winner is determined. The contract is published in the Prozoro system. Eighth and final step, contract performance and reporting. Delivery time depends on the terms of the contract. Upon completion, the customer publishes a progress report. These terms may vary depending on the type of procedure and the specifics of the procurement, but you can see how this process can last from 2 weeks to several months. The above are the key players and steps in a typical project's life cycle. As I said earlier, I will be taking you through a bidding process in more detail later this morning. Until then, goodbye.